Hello, dear outliers. Welcome to the Outlier Marketer Show. My name is Kumar Achanta, and I'm a visual storyteller and one of the hosts for this show. Let us start today's episode of the Outlier Marketer Show. Think, act, and be different. We have an amazing guest on the show today. And before I introduce the guest, let me talk about the outlier marketer himself, Pravin Shekar. He's an outlier marketer and a raconteur. Unconventional marketing is his forte. When the world moves one way, you need to move another. That's Pravin's philosophy and work style. As a parallel entrepreneur, Pravin has taken companies from startup to $1 million in revenues and author of multiple books. Pravin is the recipient of the American Marketing Association as Emerging Leader Award. He's also the recipient of the Ginny Valentine Award for skilling and employing people with disabilities. And today, I'm so privileged to share about our guest, Chad Pollitt. He's a former US Army commander and he's a co-founder of Relevance, the world's first and only website dedicated to content promotion, news, and insights. He's also a former adjunct professor of internet marketing at the Indiana University Kelley School of Business and adjunct instructor of content marketing at Rutgers University Business School. A member of a Forbes Top 100 list, Chad authored the Native Advertising Manifesto, Everything You Need to Know About Marketing, Analytics, and Artificial Intelligence, the Content Promotion Manifesto, and our favorite, 51 Things Your Mother Taught You About Inbound Marketing. He's a regular contributor to industry media outlets, including the Huffington Post, Guardian, and Social Media Today. He has been creating profitable online campaigns for over 2 decades for some of the world's most recognizable brands. This was achieved all while delivering tens of millions of dollars of tracked returns. In addition, he's driven over 100,000 leads and 24,000 marketing qualified leads over the past 12 years. Named a top 5 content marketing thought leader and top 20 CMO influencer. He continues to innovate by leading the emerging industry of online content promotion and distribution and blockchain in advertising. That's Chad Pollitt for you, friends. So we are so privileged to have you. Over to you, Pravin.
Lovely. Thank you. Thank you, Kumar. One thing that I would definitely need to add is the Outlier Marketer show is brought to you by Candu.ind.in. Candu is a social entity that skills and provides employment to people with disability in India. They have helped over 100 people to get skilled and employed, and they have a target of post-pandemic to skill and provide employment for 100 people with disabilities inside India. So thank you, Candu, for sponsoring the Outlier Marketer show, and all you viewers and listeners, go check out Candu, CANDO.IND.IN. And well, thank you for the support and show them a bit of your love as well. Chad, great to have you in the Outlier Marketer show. And for all you viewers and listeners, you have to go check out Chad Pollitt's website, CHADPOLLIT. Chad, I'm in love with your website, and there is one book that I'm going to talk to you, which is the last question that I'm going to talk about. But tell us a bit more about your Native Manifesto series. You practice what you preach. You talk about content flow. Tell us a bit more about your Native Manifesto series and the content flow that you have generated for yourself.
Certainly. Pravin, thank you very much. And Kumar, that was an excellent intro. That's one of the best intros I've ever received. Thank you for that. So yeah, let's talk about my content marketing and native advertising manifesto series. You talked about practice what you preach. Basically, the way I see content and the way I envision content in the content marketing world is that content without distribution, without promotion, is unlikely to be successful. Okay, so let me take a step back actually. Now, if you're a business that is in a niche, so you don't have a lot of competitors. So for example, let's say you're a snail farmer, okay? If you're a snail farmer, you can probably create a blog and videos and other things pertaining to snail farming, and Google will just take care of it for you, right? So people will find the content because there's not a lot of content that you're competing against because you're in a niche industry. Now, for most business professionals, that's just not the case. We're not in niche industries. We have tons of competitors. So they're doing exactly what most other businesses are doing with content marketing. Well, I recognized that early. I actually started recognizing that in about 2010, 2011. And what I decided to do was I wanted to split up different ways to promote content. And I came up with 3 ways: earned media, owned media, and paid media. And the owned media, a lot of companies that were getting into content marketing, they were doing a pretty good job. So they were posting their stuff on social media. They were creating blog posts, creating videos, whatever that content was, doing webinars even. I mean, I've been doing webinars since 2008. So the webinars, there's a lot of people doing webinars. Now, blogging came along a little bit later, but the point is those are owned channels. So while I saw people doing a good job of it and some people being successful, especially the niche businesses, I recognized that most weren't using earned media and most weren't using paid media to promote that content. So I set out to make a macroeconomic argument of why those other channels are important and how the distribution of resources within a company should align with the macroeconomic facts of the whole content distribution realm, including paid, owned, and earned media. So let's talk about earned media. Earned media is a very, very, very powerful channel. If you can write a book or create a video or create an article that's really helpful and informative, and it gets picked up by a publisher and written about and linked to, there's a good chance you're going to A, get more subscribers from that article, B, you're going to probably get some of your stuff downloaded off your website that you normally wouldn't have gotten downloaded because you got that coverage. Those are 2 great, awesome things. And I can tell you that one time I had Inc.com write an article about one of the ebooks I did back in 2012, and it drove over 1,200 leads for my company in 2 weeks.
That's absolutely awesome, Chad. When I go through your website and I study the work that you have done, Chad, you own the native word. I would love for you to explain a bit more about what you mean by native content amplification.
Yeah, sure. So native content amplification is promoting and paying for your content to exist so that it looks organic and real and that it belongs in the website it's being posted on or the app, right? So it looks like it belongs. It's in feed as opposed to a display banner ad, which might be at the top of the website or off to the side like Facebook likes to do on their non-native ads. But a good example would be if you go to Facebook or Instagram and you see an in-feed ad unit that looks like an organic unit, it just says sponsored on it. That's an example of native content amplification. The content looks like it belongs where you're promoting it. It looks organic.
Lovely. I'm going to take a segue now, Chad. This is the Outlier Marketer Show, and we focus a lot more on the unconventional. One of the reasons we love to have you on is your focus on just the content as an unconventional piece for you to look at, also as a professional speaker, as a consultant. And in relation to your previous answer, I love the slide share that you put up, where you said content is king, but the queen is distribution and the queen wears the pants. That was pretty funny play of words, but so prophetic. Now, my question to you on the unconventional front, as a professor, as a war commander, as a professional speaker and a consultant, you've seen, heard, experienced a whole lot of things. Can you pick up one such episode that is highly unconventional and share that story with us?
Yes, I can. So I spent 10, excuse me, I spent 10 and a half years in the Army. I served a year active duty in Iraq. I spent, well, a total of almost 4 years on active duty at various bases around the world. And one of the cultural things that I learned in the Army, it's more of a concept, and I've taken this concept and I've adopted it for my professional career and also my employees when I have staff. And that concept is called embracing the suck, or simply embrace the suck. So what does that mean? What that means is that most people, well, no, not most people, all people have really, really tough challenges to overcome professionally in their life at some point, okay? Now, it could be daily micro challenges. It could be very big macro challenges with your business as a whole. But whatever those challenges are, and no matter how bad they suck, you need to embrace them. You need to pull them closer to you. You need to own them. You need to eat the frog, is what is a thing we say here in the United States. Eat that frog, embrace the suck. Why should you embrace the suck? You should embrace the suck because it gives you an opportunity to grow and learn and make you a better professional and person in the long run.
Oh, Chad, we need a t-shirt with that. We need a t-shirt with embrace the suck right there. So here's my promise. You come over to India and I'll make sure you get a few t-shirts with that on. And of course, trademark over to Chad Pollitt. Embrace the suck. I love it. I love it. And I'm pretty much going to quote you and use that in some of my speaking gigs as with the queen wearing the pants, Chad.
Nice, nice.
Lovely. Chad, now content across cultures, you've been on active duty, you have interacted with a whole lot more, you're sitting in the US, but through the Outlier Marketer show, you're going to reach a whole lot of growth CXOs out here in India and Asia. What are your views in terms of the future trends with respect to content?
Well, so I do have some international experience, and I've learned a few things in that experience. A good friend of mine in England, we met in Boston for dinner at a conference one year, and he told me that he said that that the flow of technology moves from the United States and it moves east into Europe, through Asia, and all the way back around again. And I found that to be very interesting, that he believed that the flow of technology, most of it started here and moved over. Now, here's what I've discovered. Since that time, I've had a chance to do some work in the South American markets, of course, in the Asian markets, and in particular, Japan. And since I've been in the business for so long, what I noticed was that most of the newer ways to do promotion, especially in Asia, most of the newer ways to do it, like native advertising, for example, they weren't being taken advantage of as much as they were out west, like in the United States or even some parts of Europe. With Japan, they really had a lot of the old school banner advertising flashing in your face. Hey, look at me on websites and apps. And they're better now than what they used to be, but it has a big impact. The other big thing that I found in Asian marketplaces, in our business and content, SEO is different out there in Asia. It's much easier to do some of the old tactics that we used to do 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years ago and be successful in the Asian market. I learned that some of those things you can't get away with here. Google will not rank you for those things. So those are some major things that I've learned over my career internationally.
Oh, that's beautiful. I would look at it as what goes around comes around, but with a lot more learning and changes. So we have to keep adapting, because when I'm learning something from you, I'm adding a bit of myself and then passing it on. There is the negative aspect of Chinese whispers, but there is a positive one, that I enhance my learning from Chad Pollitt and then take it through. And my question to you, Chad, you've got so much content that you have generated and you're giving it away for people from knowledge perspective. Do you have a formula, a writing style that helps you churn out content this way? And I'm asking from a very shameless request from my side, because I'm a writer as well, and I'd love to pick up these frameworks and tips and ideas.
So how would I describe my style? That's an excellent question. I actually developed my style when I started creating content for SEO. So when I wrote about SEO, see, the thing about SEO people, especially old school SEO people, the thing about them is they like to make big claims and put it out there. And then what would end up happening is the SEO trolls would come out and try to troll those claims. Okay. So early, I learned that when I create content, I can't make huge claims. I got to build a case over time with evidence and solve problems, and not do it in 200 words. To go ahead and write the 2,000, 3,000, I've written 6,000 word articles, right? And to be methodical about it. So I'd say I probably use the arithmetic portion of my brain more when I create content. Now, over the years, I've gotten better on the other side of my brain, the creative side, and fluffing it up to tell a better story. But my style is more deliberate, more around numbers. And it's very hard for people to troll my content as a result of that.
Lovely. Starting off with writing for SEO to coming out with such brilliant content that is untrollable. Well, people have to understand it to go ahead and troll. So that's absolutely lovely, Chad. That's something that I would need to work on, because I'm more of a short form guy, 1,000 words being the maximum. But having heard you and read some of your articles, I'm quite tempted to go ahead and try the Chad Pollitt way. Now, for all you viewers and listeners, you've got to go visit the chadpolitt.com website and scroll down and download the book that I fell in love with. That was the first book that I saw on Chad's site. 51 Things Your Mother Taught You. Chad, how did that come about? How did that come about from a content as well as from a beautiful vintage presentation point of view? I'm in love with the book, Chad.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Yeah, it was a concept I'd been developing because one thing that was really popular early in content marketing, it still is today, is the idea of what we call a list post. So you make a list of things. And one of the things with those posts is that if you can make them audacious lists, like 51 things instead of 5 things, right? People tend to notice that. And one day I was sitting in my office and I was thinking of some of the phrases that my mother would tell me as a kid. Okay, like don't pick that scab, it'll scar, right? And then I started to analogize them to things that I was doing in online marketing. And I decided, you know what? I can come up with a bunch of these sayings that moms say to their kids when they're growing up and analogize each one to an important principle in inbound marketing and digital marketing. And that's exactly what I did. Now I divided them up into, I think, 5 sections. I started with your getting up in the morning with your mom to go to school. I went into taking the school bus and getting to school and having your school day. I talked about lunch at school. And then I went all the way to dinner and going to bed at night and getting tucked in by your mother.
I love it, primarily because you embraced stuff audaciously and came out with this book and you didn't stop with it. There's a whole lot more that's coming in. Chad, it's been great to have you at the Outlier Marketer show in the last 20, 25 minutes. I've learned quite a bit for me to take back home and do my homework and research, and I'm pretty certain the viewers and listeners also are in love. So thank you very much for being a guest here, Chad.
It's been my pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you.
Lovely. So signing off for this episode, ladies and gentlemen, thanks to cando.ind.in. So go to that website and download the free matchbook that they have, which matches corporates with the jobs for people with disabilities. Till we see again, the Outlier Marketer Show. Be an outlier, think, act, and be different. Thank you.